Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Mannino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Mannino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're going to be interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, and how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of Arcadia, Florida, we got Jonathan King Creto. How you doing, young man?
Excellent, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, better than I deserve. I typically tell a little bit about what the guests do for a living, but I heard what you do. I can't even come close. So do me a favor, give me a little breakdown of what you do, how you got to where you're at, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, I am the founder and CEO of King Creto Experience, which is a platform that provides language transfer. We provide culture and language as a combined experience, as well as K through 12 academic tutoring. All of our services are offered in person and online. In addition to that, I am a visiting professor of entrepreneurship at the Davalier and Kawanui School of Entrepreneurship at Florida Gulf Coast University, where I've been for about 3 years now, specializing in social entrepreneurship in particular. And for the last 7 years, I've been a professor, adjunct professor of global issues at the wonderful Marist University, located on the beautiful Hudson River in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Nice, that's great. So the professorship of entrepreneur, how do you explain that? I went to school. There's no such thing as entrepreneur when I went to school.
What's really cool about entrepreneurship and globalization, which I also teach, is they're phenomenons, right? They're not any direct line of study where we have, proof that things really work. It's a bunch of methodologies. And as we go along with these different methodologies, students over time and researchers like myself will prove new methodologies based on what students are doing today. So I got involved in teaching entrepreneurship actually through one of my graduate school professors who earned her PhD in entrepreneurship and guided me through my MBA program. And I became fascinated with it and obsessed with it, and started going to different pitch competitions and mentoring other students after a while. And voila, here I am today.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. I've never heard of an entrepreneurial coach or a teacher because, like I said, there just hasn't been. Do you know how long this has been going on, or how long entrepreneurship's been in schools?
It's been in schools for maybe the last 15 years. But as we know, the practice of entrepreneurship dates back centuries, of course.
That's my point. It was never taught.
It was nothing that was never taught because it was something that we just did. It was that actionable verb. People just got up and they made ends meet. Now today, tenacity, right? Now today, we want to give them more of a formula. There are more things at play. We have technology, we have social media, we have market segmentations. We have all these different things that are not covered in your traditional business programs that gives an entrepreneur that flexibility. So I kind of explain to my students, if you want to study business, that's great. You'll go in, you'll find your discipline, and you'll be off to the races, and you'll know how to set up an LLC and do some financial recordings. But with entrepreneurship, it's a bit different. We're looking for people who are creative, innovative, who has the tenacity and the grit that's needed to kind of fail, constantly fail, and be okay with that.
I know exactly what you mean. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and I haven't heard of the word until 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
You're an entrepreneur. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Just a business owner. No, you start something from nothing and make it a business and then go on to another business. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been doing. And it's awesome. And it's awesome to see that people are starting to catch on. What do you think I'm totally going off script. What do you think the attraction level is? What do you think the students that are coming in, is it coming more and more, or?
So many more students are coming in compared to my first year of teaching entrepreneurship. I would say the number has exponentially grown like tenfold.
Wow.
And I think it's because, we're now living in this day and age where this new generation, everybody's a blogger, a vlogger, a TikToker, or something. and they want to learn how to monetize that. And that's not something a traditional business or MBA program can teach you, but it is something that an entrepreneurship program will give you the space to explore.
Right. I love that. And I love that people, education is teaching a little bit different now. I've been saying this for 1,000 years. Everybody that goes to school, I talk to them, how long have you been going to school? Anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 years. I'm like, okay, cool. What do they ever teach you about investing? And I get blanks. The look on your face says it, blank stares.
Yep.
And I go, what do you know about your investments? And they're like, blank stares. I ask simple questions, like what are you invested in? They say stocks. Cool. What are your returns? Blank stares. And I'm just blown out of my mind. And I go, and then Robert Kiyosaki said it best. He goes, do you think that's an accident? And I just went, oh my God, that might be by design.
Right.
They don't teach investment. I don't know why, but they just don't teach it. And I'm talking to people that have been master's degrees. I got a friend that has a master's degree. What'd you learn about education?
Nothing. Yeah.
Blows
And
my mind.
I'm happy you brought that up because that's a foundation of all of the courses I teach, whether I'm teaching social entrepreneurship, mindset, statistics.
Mindset.
Mindset's another course that I teach, introduction, statistics. I always wrap in because this generation has so many more opportunities than I did when I was a student. And I tell my students, if you're sitting in my class and you're not making money, you're doing this wrong. There's no reason why you shouldn't be making money while you're sitting here learning right now. So we do cover different types of investments. I get my students looking at life insurance policies at 18, 19, 20 years old. We go through term and whole.
It's the most beneficial at that time.
Absolutely. If somebody would have told me to get a life insurance policy at 19 years old, I probably wouldn't be working as hard today, right?
Right.
I would have different options and different decisions that I was able to make. So giving the information to these students, letting them play with it, and not making it the center of my course, but talking points so they can learn from each other as well as myself, has taken these students from $0 into the bank and to learning what high yield checking accounts are and now depositing their entire, waiter server paycheck into high yield savings and watching a 7% return versus a 0.001% return on your money. So I agree with you 100%. Investments were never taught, but now
Right.
I think it's the responsibility of any good educator to bring that into your classroom and give these kids a fighting chance.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think our group, and I'm a little bit older than you, but our group and before, the people that didn't learn financial literacy are struggling at their 60s and 70s. And I know Social Security is not going to be helping out. Even if you do get it, you're not going to be making that much, not going to be a living wage on that.
No.
So I agree with you hard. I'd love to come out and do an in-person talk with you guys. That would be freaking awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I love firing up the next generation. Come on, let's do it.
You're more than welcome. Come to one of my classes. You can zoom in, you can show up live. I'd be happy to have you in class.
Let's set something up after that. This is a great interview. This is what I love. This is the kind of stuff showing people how to become an entrepreneur. And here's a quick question. This is totally, I threw the script out the window first 5 minutes I'm talking to you. So how hard do you think it is to start a business?
For the average person, extremely hard.
Okay.
Right? Because you have to know what goes into that. I mean, there are some people who are very excited about, I'm going to start this business, and then they're 6 months into it, and they realize that they don't have the certain skill sets that are needed to sustain the business. They have kind of that grit to get started, but that sustainability is something that, well, I'm just going to go back and become a W-2. That's a little bit more comfortable. I know where my paycheck's coming from. I have health insurance built in.
Right.
An entrepreneur is like, you know what? If I have to pay $800 for my health insurance, that means I'm getting up at 3 a.m. this morning, right? Because I got to make it work. I have a family to feed. I always tell my husband, I say, he goes, why do you get up so early in the morning? I said, because you like eating steak.
Because you like eating steak. I love that one. That's great. Why do you get up in the morning? Say, because you want to eat steak and lobster.
Listen, it's different if you want to eat chicken all the time. I can get up at 9 o'clock for chicken, right? You want to eat steak, you want that $27 steak in Publix. I got to get up at 3 a.m. Got to make things work. So
I,
Absolutely. You have to have that grit to get started, but you
right.
have to have that ability to remain teachable to sustain what you've started.
I call it grit and fortitude.
Yeah,
Those are the two things that get you through entrepreneurship.
agree with you 100% there.
And I had it, you're born with it. And like you said, some people, you give the kids the space to try it. Let them try it, try entrepreneurship. You don't like it, go get a W. You're gonna always fall back to a W-2 job. I was coaching this one kid, probably 30-year-old, and he goes, I want to get out of, I think it was accounting. And he goes, I want to quit after one of my speeches. And he starts talking to me about it. I'm like, well, tell me about your life and where you're at. And he goes, this is my girlfriend. And the girlfriend's like, I make enough money, don't worry about it, we can try this. And I go, you want to? And he goes, yeah. And I said, show me your plan. And he showed me a plan, and I'm like, do it. And he ended up doing it, and we're going through the coaching process, and he's doing a great job. And there's a hurdle, everyone. I'm like, you heard your first, he goes, I got this one deal and it worked out great, was flipping houses, and we worked out really great. I don't know how to get to the next one. I said, how'd you get the first one? He goes, I went through all this and I found these people. And he goes, go find those people again, and now it's repeatable.
Yep.
And he get into it, and he's excited about it. And you need to be excited about it. You need to be excited about what you do, or you do, like you said, you'll get up at 9 o'clock versus 3 o'clock.
100%. And you not only have to be excited, you have to you got to be a game changer, right? You got to get up every day with that mindset that I'm going to do something remarkable today for my business. We're going to move this in this direction. I have this kid that I've been mentoring the last 6 months, and he came to me with an idea about recycling pickleballs. I had no clue what pickleball even was, right? But I'm like, let's roll with this. And over the past 6 months, I've gotten this kid prepared for pitch competitions, and he's earned about 50K so far, right? He's made some solid connections, and we've learned he's the only one in the country that's interested in the sustainability model of pickleball. So
Wow.
he literally has these, containers all around South Florida right now, collecting pickleballs, recycling them, and making new pickleballs. His company's
Wow.
called Bounce Back Pickle, and it's just that tenacity, that fortitude, that gets me up. I commute 2 hours one way to campus
Wow.
every day, right? And it's students like that I don't even think about the commute because I'm like, I get to see this kid. He's working hard. He's gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? He has what it takes. He's up at 4 a.m. dropping off his bins or picking up pickleballs and then coming to class and doing what he needs to do. That's what entrepreneurship is all about, the action.
The grit. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 1,000%. That is awesome. So, listen, I got a quick question for you, Jonathan. What is one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome in your career? Good question, isn't it?
That's a loaded question right
It is. There's a lot to it.
there.
Just pick one and go with it and explain how it worked out.
Yeah, I think, just for me, I think it's the different levels of adversity that exist in the field. I mean, I'm a gay, black, Jewish entrepreneur.
So that is that all of them? Is that all of them?
Man, I can't make this stuff up.
Jewish. Wow, you're everything.
Um,
You just hit every post. I
and
love
I'm,
it.
I'm gonna just add one more thing in there. And I'm married to an immigrant from France, right? So I've kind of hit every marginalized community by fate and by not having fate with it, right? So,
Right.
having to overcome all these different things, being able to walk, and I'm only 5'3" tall. But in my mind, I have the Napoleon complex. I'm 6'3", right? So
Right.
being able to walk in a room and be at the level with a lot of these other entrepreneurs or professionals and be taken seriously has kind of been the biggest thing in my career, to kind of
Okay.
overcome. And that's just for me. Everybody's story is different, but for me, it's overcoming the adversity that exists in the different fields that I kind of move around in.
Do you think all entrepreneurs deal with adversity?
On some level, yes, I think they should at least be dealing with diversity. We live, this isn't, for instance, this isn't Russia, right? We
Yeah, really. Yeah.
We have a diverse, whether it's ethnic diverse, racially diverse, we have so much diversity that exists in this country, which is what makes it great, in my opinion, that every entrepreneur needs to be able to look at each group, whether you're hiring, whether you're bringing on for projects, you need to know what's best for your organization
Mhm.
and how that talent can help move you and create space for new customer bases as well.
Agreed wholeheartedly. Love talking about this. I get so excited about being an entrepreneur. It's insane. It is the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when it's done right.
Especially when it's done right. When I first got started with King Creto Experience, it was a thought. It was really a
Mhm.
thought. I was sitting here one night doing my lesson plans and I heard my husband teaching online. And this was during the time he was going through the immigration process and his work options were limited until he got certain documents in. So he was teaching French through some platforms online. And I said, "Hey, you're pretty good at what you're doing. Who do you work for and how much do you make?" And he told me, and I was like, I want all of that money. If you're going to be able to sit home and do this on the computer, I want all of that money. So for the next year, I literally started working with a French company teaching business English online. I got up every morning at 4 a.m. From 4 a.m. to 1 p.m., 6 days a week. Every 30 minutes, I got a new student. And I did that for an entire year just to collect data to see if this would be profitable. And after 1 year, I said, let's go. I had no clue how to make a website, no clue about social media, marketing, SEO, any of that stuff. And I sat down, created a website, found my integrations that went in with my website, played with all that, failed miserably at some parts of it. And it took a while for me to kind of find that balance in there. And so what I'm saying is to become an entrepreneur doesn't mean you need to know everything, right? You need to be able to get started and to have a vision that sustains it because no entrepreneur is going to know how to set up your finances, how to do your social media, how to do all of your marketing, how to set up the business properly, all the legalities around it. We just don't know all that, right? But you learn that in the process. So that's why I tell my students, you're a perpetual learner. You have to always be in a position where you're learning. If you're the smartest guy in the room, get out of there.
Yeah, get it. I tell everybody I'm the dumbest guy in every room, and they're like, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" I'm like, "That's where I want to be." And they really don't understand it. I'm like, "No, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room. I want to be just learning from all these, people that are better than me." And they finally start to understand it if you explain it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't mind being the smartest guy in the room too, because I got to teach. I'll never forget there was this one, I don't know what it was, a picture or something like that. It was entrepreneurship was this big mountain, and there's a dude climbing on the mountain. He's got one hand pulling up, and he's got another hand pulling somebody else up.
yeah.
And I thought that was a great visual for that because
That's
you
so
got you
fun.
got to bring people up too, and I love it. I love it. I love teaching it. I'd love we're gonna get together and we're gonna do some stuff together. This is gonna be fun.
It's great that you brought up that image because I was speaking with another student that I'm mentoring yesterday. And I said, part of my mentorship is to show you how entrepreneurship works, give you the confidence you need to get started, but more importantly, show you why it's important. And I said, you'll have some entrepreneurs who will make it be successful and they're driven by certain things like greed. So you really never see them giving back to communities. And it's very important for me to remind my students, don't ever forget where you came from. Once you make it, it's your responsibility to partner with a local 501(c)(3) or a nonprofit and willingly give up your time. Show them how you arrived at this point. Whether you're working with the Boys and Girls Club or Girl Scouts or whatever it is, make sure you're giving yourself selflessly to your community because those are the ones that sacrificed and helped you arrive at where you're at. So I completely agree. While you're walking up that mountain and you have that vision, you need to be pulling somebody else right along with you.
That is one of my staples of uh of entrepreneurship. You got to bring people with you. And I found out it helps. How do I explain this? By pulling somebody else that helps you, makes you stronger. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I teach martial arts, and I love it when the kids have the breakthroughs.
Yeah.
and I'm sure you probably that's probably my highlight of teaching. I just absolutely love it. I put a board in front of a 10-year-old kid that's, this thick, and, come on, we're gonna break this. And he's looking at me with deer caught headlights. And they show him how to do it, and then he breaks it, and the look on his face like, I can't believe I just did that. I'm like, good, get back in line, you can do it again. Just
Exactly.
sort of
And in that moment, just for that brief moment, you can see that confidence in them skyrocket, right?
it. Yes, exactly. One of the kids, young kid, good martial artist, young kid, probably 6 years old. As soon as he broke it, he kind of put his chest and he started walking back to the end of the line. I'll never forget that walk back. It was the biggest walk of pride I've ever seen in my life from a 5-year-old.
I love it. I love it. That's what I live for right there. I think confidence is kind of the foundation of everything that we do. And some people say, I'm going to be this, I'm going to become this. And they don't realize in order to become that, you have to be confident within yourself to be that. I'm pretty sure as a martial artist, there's no way that you would be a good martial artist if you didn't have a layer of confidence about yourself and your ability to perform.
It without a doubt. There's something it's hard to explain to martial arts. It changes your mindset. When you talk to the class on mindset, martial arts changes your mindset because what the process is, you start martial art, you wipe out, nothing.
Yep.
And then they ask you to do hard things constantly. Here's a group of white belts. Front punch, roundhouse kick, and then front kick. All right, low block, high block. Next one. And then, now you got to do an inside out kick. You got to do into out block. You got to do this. The next one, now you start to do kicks. And then the next one is the worst one because now whatever kick you got to put a jump to it.
Exactly.
It's just a consistent systems and process where it just makes you, and then I think at purple, yellow belt, or purple belt, here, break a board. And then it shows, we're not going to put a board up, just like you're not going to ask a student to do anything they can't do.
Right.
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 There's a student teacher mentality in martial arts that they only put what's in front of you that they know you have the ability to do, but does it matter what the teacher knows? No, the student has to know it. And that's what builds their confidence, right? This
Yep.
teacher has them do something hard, and then they do it, and then their confidence comes up. Then they have to do something harder, and then the confidence, and then,
I love it.
right? And
I
that's
love
that's probably what you do too. You put something hard in front of them, and then they do it. And now you got to put something else in front of them. It's harder, and then you got to put something else in front of them.
Yep. So it keeps me, it challenges me constantly, because I like to customize what I do for each student. There's not a cookie
Yeah.
cutter thing. So paying attention to the actual needs, desires, and focus of these students is hard work, But like you,
And
I started off doing martial arts as well. I'm a small statured guy, and I was bullied a bit. And my grandfather, I was Chief Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, and he said,
you
no,
were
no, my grandfather.
okay.
And he said, no, we're not going to do this. So we started doing Ishinru together. And that just taught me so much discipline, so much respect. It
Yeah.
gave me the confidence that I needed. It gave me the bravado to walk around with my chest out now.
Walking around
Exactly.
all puffy chesty. And that's what you're supposed to be.
Yeah. So I have so much respect for the martial arts. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I got to write a book on how martial arts has changed my life.
Yeah. I'll buy it.
Really, it does so much. What I tell parents that are bringing their kids in, why should I take my kid to martial art? I go, what is he lacking? And then she goes, I don't know what. I go, is his confidence low? Yeah. Well, that's going to bring the confidence up. What's his balance? His balance low? It's going to bring his balance up. It's going to, is he have no fortitude? Yeah, that's going to bring that up. We're going to push him and keep him pushing. And it really does, for what I've seen, it really does. It taught me to be a better person.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
Um, Sounds like things are going pretty good for you in your businesses. And looking forward to the future, this is a big one. Wondering how do you create passive income? What do you do to make your little green soldiers make more green soldiers for yourself?
Um, I just do what I do. It's the beautiful thing about the kind of dynamics of King Creto Experience is we haven't spent much of anything on marketing. Um, Kind of almost 100% on our revenue is generated by word of mouth.
Awesome. That's
And
the best.
yeah, I mean,
That is the best.
I'm sitting here doing my files now for the fall, and I have a wait list for students, which is very new this year. We've normally been at capacity, but now we have, have to hire more tutors and more language guides to help these students
Awesome.
get through. In addition to that, my husband just created a wonderful partnership with a national organization, Alliance Française. So now we'll be working with them to filter, more French students our way. So to create that income, we just keep doing what we're doing, man. I think if you make people happy and you give them the results they're looking for, it's a no-brainer. They're going to talk about it. And once they talk about it with, and we live in this wonderful place, Florida, so it's very transient. So we get one person from South America that takes, our course. They're talking to other people in South America. We have
Right.
students in Peru talking about, I met with King Creto Experience. I've been mentoring a young girl from Russia. She found us online. I've been teaching her English. She finally made it to the US this year, studied in Texas, and came and stayed with us for a month. And now I have other Russians contacting me wanting to learn English. So, again, zero money on marketing. I do some social media just to, keep it going, but we're not really, soliciting business through marketing efforts. We're doing it through the community that we're building.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Word of mouth is I think the metric that I heard the most when I was learning about entrepreneurship was if you make one person happy, they'll tell three people. If you make one person mad, they'll tell seven.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
you gotta make some you get not happy. That's probably a poor. If you bring value to them, they'll tell one person. If you don't bring value to, they'll tell seven.
Well, we never overpromise, right? We sit down and we take a lot of time to understand the objectives and the focus of each student and each family, and we meet them where they're at and
Yes.
and we grow with them.
Gotcha. Works
And,
out great.
and it works out great. Yeah.
Yeah. Just adding value. That's the best. I try to make my speech as small as possible and as accurate as possible.
Yes.
So I like the term adding value.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't matter what you do in entrepreneurship. I did building. We have a flipping company in Michigan. We're doing multifamily now, and it's just awesome to add value to everybody.
That's my new thing. I'm getting into
Good.
buying, flipping properties. Yeah.
Flipping properties?
I have a house in New York now. We're looking at getting one in the south of France and buying some more here in on the west coast of Florida.
So isn't that the definition of passive income?
That's another passive income, absolutely.
Nice. Nice. So wrapping up the interview, wondering what you got planned for the next 6 to 12 months with King Creto.
So for the next 6 to 12 months, what we're doing is we're looking to expand our language offerings. Because the tutoring is a no-brainer. It's just taken off all by itself. Every student needs help from K through 12. So that's kind of controlling itself. But the language program is becoming a bit sparse. So we're kind of spicing this up a bit by bringing in some unconventional languages, things you can't normally find on these apps like Duolingo and things that you're normally using that really don't give you the value that you're looking for. In addition to that, we're doing more trips abroad. So we're taking our students who have gotten to a certain level and now we're putting them in the environment to start using these languages. So we tested this last year with taking a group of women to the south of France for a couple of weeks. They loved it. It was, a big plus. And so now we're looking at more trips this year and next year, taking more students abroad into different places to test their language skills and build that confidence and become global citizens.
Trying to get them to do something hard, right?
Something hard. Get out of your comfort zone of this little
Oh,
group that meets every Monday and Wednesday and go talk to strangers in
yeah.
another language. Yeah.
I like to put it, do something hard. It doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger,
Yes, sir.
you know?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Hey, listen, thanks a lot. You did a knockdown, drag out job, and grit and fortitude is probably going to be the name of this podcast. That's awesome. If anybody wants to contact you, Jonathan, how would they do that? What would be the best method? And please do. This guy's absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. They can email us directly at kce at kingcreto KingCretot.com. So that's KingCretot. Or they can look at our website, www.kingcreto.com. Or
There
you
you go.
can always reach out by telephone, 914-809-0112.
Well, you got to watch that because there's a lot of people watching. You might get flooded at one point.
That's a great problem to have, Michael.
It 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 is, but it's still a problem. Trust me when I tell you that. Hey, listen, thank you very much for the interview. It was absolutely awesome. And if anybody would like to talk to Jonathan, please do. And thank you very much for watching. Driven Unscripted Success, calling you out. Thanks all.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.